welcome back, folks, to a fresh new episode of Knock Off the Perch, a Manchester United podcast. Today, we discuss the future for United with Ruben Amorim. It's got to say with or without Ruben Amorim because 6 games, 7 games, and not that many points on the board. It's damning for United. We are as inconsistent as any team could get. Before the Brentford game, it was 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, and now it's 3 losses. Even if we take the table from since Ruben Amorim has joined United, it's pretty damning. Uh, in fact, Graham Potter had a better win percentage than him, just better than Amorim, and West Ham did sack him yesterday. So the question begins, and I know a lot of the people will be asking for Ruben Amorim's head for the recent performances. Is it time for Ruben Amorim, or how much time does Ruben Amorim get at United?
Yeah. See, if we look at the current season, we are out of the Carabao Cup already. We are not in Europe owing to how we performed in the previous season. And we only have the Premier League and FA Cup to play for. And in the Premier League, 6 games done, 7 points. It doesn't show a good standing of Ruben Amorim or this team. Now, we are too early into the season to take a call on the manager to say, are we really moving in the right direction? But Ruben Amorim himself, right from his first interview, right from the start of this season, has been talking about certain ideas, certain style of play that should start emerging for this Manchester United team. The question that we want to take up is the signs that we are seeing, whatever they are they good enough for us to keep our trust in Ruben Amorim? I, for one, am somebody who typically wants that there is stability. The current management continues. They have ample amount of chances before we discredit or disregard them. And Dheeraj, it goes right back from David Moyes' days. Even then, I felt it was too early for us to get rid of him. And since then, Manchester United have been pretty consistent about getting into Europe. It is only in the last couple of years we have gotten accustomed to a bit of a new normal, where even though Erik ten Hag didn't take us to Champions League, but won the FA Cup, somehow got us Europa League. We continued with him, and it was only the performance early in the next season that we decided to get rid of him. And with Amorim, we have seen some decent performances. Even the loss against Arsenal, I felt was a decent performance. Against Chelsea, we went one person up. We managed to make the most of it with the 2 goals, won that game. Burnley, we barely managed to win that game with a penalty late on. I am not seeing enough improvement in the performances to get a lot of confidence from Ruben Amorim. Can he change it? Perhaps. But the direction and the trajectory this team is taking, I am slightly worried.
I'm of the opinion that people should be taking personal responsibility for performances like this, and that ball doesn't just stick with the manager. It is
Yeah.
the management, the manager, and the players, and all of them are collective responsibles. And the majority of the responsibility is with the players because they step onto the pitch, and it is because of a lot of their individual errors that we are in the place that we are. I could talk about each and every game individually, and I could tell you that we had bad refereeing decisions. We had the ball hitting the crossbar, unlucky. We had, and most of the goals that we have conceded. Now that's a bigger debate. Is it because of the system, or is it because of individual errors, or is it because we are trying to fit players into a system in which they cannot or do not adapt? Which again begs the questions: aren't these players professional Manchester United Premier League players? Shouldn't they be able to adapt to a system? I don't think a back three or a back four significantly changes the way a defender plays. Of course, at some points of time, you see a Mbumo on a right wing back position, which he's not accustomed to. Agreed. You may see, but from a player like Bruno Fernandes, I expect the manager, I expect the captain of Manchester United, who's a stalwart in the midfield, to be able to play the number 8 and number 10 positions equally well, because that's how I'm accustomed to seeing midfielders at. We never had those 6, 8, 10 midfielders. We had midfielders who were midfielders, center midfielders who could be attacking midfielders if need be. I've seen Anderson do a job. I've seen Jisung Park do a job. I've seen Rooney do a job there. So it's very sad that we have, a big part of our fan is right now calling for, is it because they don't agree with the system, just because it's different, just because it's three at the back, and just because the manager fails to, mention, just because a manager is headstrong about it,
Yeah,
doesn't mean he's right about it, doesn't mean, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong about it also. And the third thing I'd want to talk about is the management itself, the Ineos board. If it was not an assignment done by the Ineos board, Amorim would have been sacked by now. Let there be no doubt about that. So just because it is a manager that they got, just because it was a choice by Omar Barada specifically, I think
yeah.
he's been given this much time.
See, let's break down all of those 3 points. Firstly, whether it is about the system or the players or how the players are playing. See, to be very honest, personally, to me, a back three or a back four or a back
Hmm.
five, whatever it may be, doesn't really make so much of a difference. But what makes the difference is the manager able to extract the best out of the squad that he or she has,
Hmm.
right? At this point in time, by being tactically inflexible, I think Ruben Amorim is not able to extract the best out of this squad, which also leads me to your second point around Bruno Fernandes, captain of this team, such a almost reaching that legendary status. Why can't he play a number 8 as well, as good as he plays a number 10? But that is almost saying that you suddenly need a player to start playing different positions. Just because he's good in one position, they should be good in different positions. Point is, he brings a lot of attacking impetus. He's a bit of a maverick himself. And when you are playing only two midfielders in
Hmm.
this so-called idea of system philosophy, you need those two midfielders to have a lot of control. Bruno, we have traditionally known, is not a control player. He will play those crazy passes. He will try things which are out of whack, and sometimes they work. A lot of times they don't. But the times that they do work, they end up creating beautiful chances when our forwards have to finish them. Right now, but when you're playing a mid two, you need to bring that control, which I don't think it's a 31-year-old footballer who has been playing for long in a certain position. You can't suddenly expect Bruno to become defensively attuned, right? So that is the thing that I want. Yeah, you were saying something.
In our squad, as of now, is there any other midfielder whose vision and controlling ability you prefer and you think is better than of Bruno's?
Vision, I don't know so much about, but I think Menu provides better control.
Menu provides better control. Menu is still a diamond in the making. I don't think it's a ready-made product. And
He may not be a ready-made product, but he is definitely good enough to get consistent game time. And if we were playing a three-man midfield,
hmm,
that would allow you to play a defensive midfielder, a Menu who can control the midfield, and an attacking maverick in Bruno Fernandes. So if it was a system where we were allowed to play three midfielders, now I'm not saying you need to change the entire system for it. You play Bruno in one of those L10 or R10 positions, right? But it has clearly been set up in such a way that you have signed Mbuemo, you have signed Cunha, that automatically those two spots are gone for Ryan Mbuemo and Bruno Fernandes, unless we have somebody unavailable for whatever reasons, right? So you have clearly earmarked Bruno to play that number 8 position, which I don't think, without signing any other midfielder. If we had a very physical midfielder who was really good at taking the ball forward as well, at least that one step, which ideally Ugarte should have been, but he is not able to do that. Casemiro doesn't have the legs anymore. So now that we are provided with this situation, I would expect the manager to find out a solution. But what, in my opinion, and this is again somebody who watches football and has formed opinions based on those footballs and is not on the training pitch. My only challenge with how we are currently trying to solve for it is by continuing to play those same players in the same positions and just hoping it works. But and it's not working. I think every away game we are going to, Fulham we lost control in the midfield. Brentford we were bad in the midfield. City in the away game were able to overpower our midfield. It's just not working out.
can we talk about personal responsibility here? Can we talk about how Amorim would have, and I'm pretty sure he did ask for a midfielder in the summer transfer window and did
Yeah,
not get one, which is the
yeah.
reason why we are here, why we are
That
talking
is
about
true.
what we are talking about.
That
So Ineos does bear the responsibility for not selling the players on time, not getting him a Baleba slash Wharton kind of a player.
No, that is absolutely true. In fact, from the reports that we read, I don't think Amorim was in favor of signing a striker over a midfielder. He wanted a midfielder first, but I think Jason Wilcox apparently wanted to go for refreshing the front three, ensuring we get the goals, and they and Christopher Vivell went all out for Benjamin Sesko. And again, I don't want to diss on Benjamin Sesko too much. He is a young lad. He has a lot to prove. But how we have played in the first 6-7 games in the season, we would have had similar outcome had Rasmus Højlund been on the pitch, but I think the outcome would have been very different had, for example, hypothetically, we had a Baleba instead of a Casemiro slash Ugarte in that position. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
I disagree a bit there. I don't
Yeah,
think we would have had the same output with Højlund because we did have a full season with Højlund last year and we didn't see him making runs. The first season, we saw him do decently. The second season, the starting narrative was that he's not getting enough service. When he started getting enough game time and enough service, there wasn't the finishing product there. There wasn't a level-headed, a player there who could take United forward, who
yeah,
could lead the line. Šeško, in his little time that we have started with, first of all, we haven't seen him start a lot of games. He's been chucked off, he's been brought in, he has not had a preseason. Please bear
yeah,
in mind that.
yeah,
But from what I have seen of him, he does make those runs. He does get on end of things. He does head the ball better. He does have a much more aerial, advantage. A lot of our, when we talk about going direct, skipping the midfield, we are able
yeah.
to do that, and we are doing that only because Sesko is able to head the ball. The Boomo pull in the last game against Chelsea.
Chelsea.
It was because Sesko could head the ball like that, and Sesko does. Of course, he's not had the shots that I would have liked to see him had, but that is also partly because he's still adjusting to the Premier League, so we do have to be a bit patient
No,
with
no,
him.
completely agree. Completely agree. And as I said before, it's not a diss on Sheshko at this point in time. I think he will get a lot of time from the fans, from myself, to say whether he has done well, he has not done well. The point that I was trying to make is, should we have signed a midfielder before we signed to refresh our striker? And if we had limited funds, probably I think Wilcox has to take ownership for
Yeah,
that if he decided to go for a striker over a midfielder. But all
I
that
think I
said,
agree.
yeah, all that said, the unfortunate truth is that this is the squad that Ruben Amorim has. And is the squad good enough to finish top 8, 9? In my opinion, yes. Right? It is on Ruben Amorim to now take that squad. First of all, get us into that range, ensure that we are in and around those European positions, and then improve the team to be able to at least finish in a Europa League spot. That is the minimum requirement I have. And again, it's too early to judge 6 games in the Premier League to say are we there, are we not there yet. But just going by the evidence of how we have been playing, how inconsistent we have been, and how poor we have been in away games, the feeling that I'm now starting to get is that this is beyond redemption for Ruben Amorim. I'm not fully there yet. I
Hmm.
still think the next 5 games, for that matter, are going to figure a lot. But I'm starting to get the feel it's a job too big for Ruben Amorim.
I don't think so. I'm not a big Ruben Amorim supporter as of now. That being said, I think there has to be you have to give the manager and the new players enough time to see that evidence. We haven't seen I've seen a lot of Premier League games this season besides United. Other
Yeah,
than City, I've not seen any team, City and Arsenal, I've not seen any team show that level of consistency.
yeah.
Chelsea are being inconsistent, Liverpool are inconsistent, Newcastle, Aston Villa, everyone
But
is
Liverpool are
inconsistent.
at least barring the result against Crystal Palace. They have at least managed to get the results. They've managed to get over the line.
If you see the games, you'd know that
Yeah, yeah.
it's not like a lot of them have been lucky results, to be
They
very
have been
honest.
lucky. I will not deny that. Yeah,
And like we could have been on the brighter side of the luck for that matter. Yesterday at the Brentford game, there were a lot of refereeing decisions which went against us. Uh, so we cannot talk about refereeing decisions. We cannot talk about luck not going our way.
yeah.
What we can talk about is Amarim definitely. This is not the time when we judge his performances only because, correct me if I'm wrong, our front three were playing their first game together yesterday.
Yes, they were
That is
starting together for the first time. Yes,
and hence, my point, that we need to give these we have a completely new front line. The more they play with each other, they've not had a preseason together. The more they play with each other, they learn the patterns, they learn the system which Amarim wants them to play in. And we have seen enough positive signs, man. Against Arsenal, against Chelsea, we have seen us create goals. We have seen, even though we talk about us bypassing the midfield, it's not necessarily a bad thing. City are
it's
doing
not. It's not.
City are
It's not.
doing it
Yeah,
this year. This
yeah,
seems to be the year to be doing that, bypassing the midfield and not hoping, playing those second balls. And it's not a bad way to go about things. If if we
yeah.
are able to get the most out of Dorgu, And when Mazurai returns and Ahmad also returns, I'm sure that we have the wing backs to make the system work. Midfield, still, I'm iffy about not having that controller. But like you said, Menu could be the one. And I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure, the last throw of dice that Amorim does before he loses job would be to give Manu a start because that is how a lot of managers prior to Amorim have lost their jobs. Eric Ten Hag was too stubborn to not give Amad Diallo a start. Before
yeah,
him, there was Ragnick, and we've
yeah.
had like long range of managers not giving starts to players in form or fan favorites. So I think the last roll of dice that Amorim does would be to introduce Menu. That would bring control in midfield. At least that's what the optimistic me, the hopeful me says.
No, I agree with that, and I like the optimism. It's just that I have been on that optimistic train, and it's just some of the performance have seen my optimism dissipate. And especially, I think the performance yesterday against Brentford. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too emotional about that result, but I think it just how the squad was lack of intensity, lack of energy to try and get through it. It felt that I don't think Amorim can make a big improvement, but here is to hoping. Here is to hoping we are able to do that. Now, two questions that I have for you. Firstly, we have Sunderland up next, and then the international break, and then we have a phase of 4 games where we play Liverpool home, Brighton away, Forest home, Forest away, and then Spurs away, right? Then we have another international break. At this point in time, what would you want to see either in terms of performance or in terms of results slash number of points on the table for you to be sure that come 25th November when we host Everton, Ruben Amorim will still be our manager?
I mean, it has to be a combination. Like the optimistic me, the idealistic me would love to say that, I'd love to see the performances improve. That being said, it's a results game.
Yeah,
We have to be in the mix of eighth and ninth, and it's very easy to do that right now because the table is very packed. We're
yeah,
not very far. Sunderland is in fourth position right now, Aruj.
yeah,
It's very much possible that we are in the mix of the European places at that point of time because no team has started very well. That
yeah,
being said, what I want from United, just some bit of consistency. That's all I ask for. I'm not asking for all good results. I'm not asking for all brilliant performances. Just some consistency. We do play 20 to 30 minutes, uh, really good football in every game. I'd
yeah,
want that number to go up. I want us to control the game for 60 minutes. When I
yeah,
say control, I don't want the midfield control. Even without the ball, you can control a football game. I want to see
right,
that from. I want to see our players being intelligent. I want to see our manager being a bit more tactically flexible. It
yeah,
cannot be that any novice manager, any manager in the Premier League is able to outsmart him with a
yeah.
couple of tricks on their sleeve. That cannot be the case.
Correct, correct. How I view a lot of these situations, I get into a little bit of a mathematical outlook, and if I broadly look at how we need to be towards the end of the table, and from what I've seen, if you finish 2 points per game, you are pretty much guaranteed to be in the mix for the top 5 to 6, which is like 76
Agree.
points at the end of it. But I think that's a bit of a far stretch for this Manchester United team at this point in time. But if we look at somewhere being between around 1.5 points per game, right, which will lead us to be where 38 and 19, I think it will lead us to be somewhere around 57 points. I think that should at least ensure we are finishing somewhere in the top 7, top 8, and then maybe a couple of results here, a couple of results there can take us. So if I break that down, 5 more games from here till the Spurs game, we will be 11 games. And 16 points will sort of keep us in that range of 1.5 points per game, right? And 16 points is 9 more points in those 5 games. Do you think Manchester United can get 9 points in 5 games? I am slightly uh, unoptimistic about it. We have game against Liverpool, Brighton, then 2 games against Forest and Spurs away. Away is not a great opportunity for us. So I think if we are like 12 points from 11 games at the end of that Spurs game, I think his job is in danger.
No, I agree. I agree. He does need to start getting those results and getting those points in because the other teams would be getting those points now.
Yeah.
I think Sunderland, Nottingham Forest, and Spurs. These are places where I'd expect lesser competition than Liverpool and
But we've been
Brighton.
pathetic away from home. That's my worry. So even Nottingham
Mm.
Forest out of form. away from home, it is difficult for us to get 3 points.
It is a new Ange and an old Ange team that will decide Amorim's future, which is like very
Yeah, yeah.
poetic in nature. Because had Amorim won the Europa League,
Champions League. Yeah, we
yeah,
would have been in the Champions League today. Yeah,
we would have been in the Champions League and we would be having a very different conversation. So yeah, here's
yeah.
hoping. Let's say 9 points out of this 15. Sooner
Very
they come,
optimistic.
better for Ruben Amorim. Last words, Ruben Amorim in or out?
I'm Ruben Amorim. Just get a result, man. We need consistent results. You know what I would love? I would love for Ruben Amorim to see us get 5 wins in a row so that the United Strand guy is able to cut his hair under the stewardship of Ruben Amorim for Manchester United. That's my hope.
That's a big one because in what 1 year, 4 months, we haven't won back-to-back games now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a damning
Hope.
stat I want to leave everyone with.
Yeah, no, hopefully we win against Sunderland. Three back-to-back wins at Old Trafford at the least, and then let's see how the game against Liverpool goes.
Just
All right. Thanks everyone for joining in. Do let us know your thoughts, what you believe Ruben Amorim needs to do to stay in the job. And yes, as always, this is our perch. Let's knock him off. Until next time, stay united.